Hello, everybody. I think I started going live a little bit early before I intended. I hope I didn't do anything embarrassing. I don't think I did. If you are here, would you send me a hi in chat? I'm testing a new feature of my streaming. I want to see if it's working. If you're watching, just say hi on chat. I'm going to wait a couple minutes, though, before I really get started since I am early. Hey, it looks like it's working. I got some highs there. So the new experiment is to share the chat on the screen, because last week and a few other times, I've had people notice that I was responding to something that they didn't see. So I'm trying to share the chat on the screen there. Hopefully that will help reduce confusion. If it's a problem because it covers up the code or for any other reason, just let me know. Happy to have all of you here. It's 3 o'clock, so I think I'll jump in. I don't know if you're here for the first time. Let me spend just a moment explaining what I'm going to be doing. And if you're already been here, this been for my, if you've already seen me doing this before, you probably already have a sense of what I'm doing. The last several weeks, I've been working on updating an open source library I maintain. I authored it and I maintain it that is related to CouchDB. So let me just share my screen here to give the quick version. This is the project. It's called Kivik, and it's a Go library for CouchDB and PouchDB, and some other related databases, which we'll probably talk about today. I'm preparing to release version 4, which has some major API changes, so I've been working on making some of those changes live with you. And last week, where we left off, I was trying to clean up. I had changed in previous weeks, I had changed an interface from an old version to a new version, and now I was working on cleaning up the old version. And I found some blockers that I was starting to play with cleaning up last week. I have cleaned those up since the last recording. I did those in my spare time. So now we're ready to go back and hopefully finish cleaning up the old interface. Another change I've made since last week is I've merged two other backend drivers into the main repository, which implement the old interface. So I'll need to update those as well to use the new interface before I can completely delete the old interface. So that's what I'll be working on today. If you have any questions in the meantime, just pop it into chat and I'll try to respond as quickly as I can. If this is your first time here, thanks for coming. I hope you'll subscribe. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to follow me there. Or on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel. And I also want to mention I have a daily email list where I write about Go. You're welcome to subscribe there if you'd like text-based format. boldlygo.tech/daily. You can sign up there. And right now I'm going through the Go spec on a day-by-day basis, explaining one concept per day about the Go spec, trying to make it as accessible as possible to anybody. It's not. I want it to not feel as intimidating or scary as I imagine it does for many people, certainly as it did for me when I first started learning Go. All right, let's get started. Let me find. There we go. So I have my master branch. I closed the pull request I started last week because basically everything that was in it was obsolete. So I'm going to start again. Let's call my branch old interface cleanup. And let's just open my editor and get started. We'll zoom in to make it easier to read for you folks. And the interface that I'm cleaning up is called old getter. It's a temporary name I chose. And rev getter is the new one. Where's the old getter? Here's old getter. So this is the one I'm trying to delete. And then once I've completed the deletion, I will merge this rows getter back into the interface called, I think it's just called DB, yeah, right here, which is where it came from originally. Now, as I mentioned, I've just merged in two new backend drivers into this repository, which I know need to be updated. So let me explain what that means. There are, at present, 4 official backend drivers. 2 of them are experimental. Those are the ones I just merged in. There's the CouchDB one, which is the one that we updated first. In fact, it's the only one that needs the new functionality. But the others can be easily updated to maintain the new to work with the new interface with the old functionality. I will need to update. I guess there's 5 actually. There's 5 official ones. There's the mock one, which I did last week, or I started on last week, and I think I finished that during the week. So the mock driver has been updated. The CouchDB driver has been updated. I still need to do PouchDB, the file system, and memory drivers. Those 3 left to be done. I'm going to start with the file system. I think that'll be the easiest. Either that or memory, but it doesn't matter which one. I'll start with the file system for no particular reason. So these experimental ones live under this X directory. That's where I merged them into. They were previously in other repositories, but I decided it made more sense from a maintenance standpoint to keep them all in one repo where they can evolve in lockstep at the same versions instead of trying to keep multiple repos in sync as I have been for version 3. All right, so essentially this function needs to return the new type. That's basically all I need to change and then make it work. So the old getter returns a pointer to document, the new one returns rows. So let's just make this change, and then it's not going to compile, but that'll tell us what we need to do. All right, a whole bunch of compile failures, as expected. Now, the problem is that this type does not implement the new expected type. Now, I'm starting to think. Actually, I'm wondering, should I have 2 options in mind right now. One is to make this old type implement the new interface, which I've effectively done twice now on a case-by-case basis. I did that in the CouchDB driver first, and I did it in the MockDB driver. Now it's the 3rd time I'm thinking maybe I should make this a general solution. I'm thinking, where would I use that? I would use that I would at least use it in the file system driver and the memory driver. I probably would use it in the PouchDB driver. I would not use it in CouchDB, and I may not use it in the MockDB driver. Right now I am using it in the MockDB driver, but I could, and probably eventually will, make that more robust so it can return multiple results. If that doesn't make sense, the change to this interface is to allow it to return multiple results rather than only a single result. So now when I return a single result, it's not working correctly. So that's what I'm considering. So so that's one option. I could basically make this old type. Hi, Joao. Welcome. Thanks for coming. I could essentially make this old type implement the new interface, which kind of make this magically work. And then I might move it out of the driver package somewhere else. Or I could just make the old interface technically supported. I could maybe make this be called get single or something like that. Give it a different name, so that the drivers that don't support multiple fetching can just use the simple version. However, I think I just answered my question in my head, and so here's the answer. While at the moment the file system driver and the memory driver only return a single document, I want to update them to return multiple documents. So they would not use this old interface for long, even if they do for the moment. So that answers my question. I'm going to do exactly what I did for CouchDB and for the MockDB, which is basically duplicate that functionality into the package, and then eventually I will refactor it out. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to create a new type in the FSDB package that duplicates this. I'm going to just call it lowercase document. I don't need the dodoc on it anymore. And then I will have it return that instead. Now I need to, actually I know that I'll never use that here. Well, actually I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't think I do right now, but I might. So I'll put it there for the moment. And I am using it, obviously. So I'll leave it there. I'm going to get rid of the GoDoc just to make this a little bit shorter. And now I need to add the missing methods. And we can get a clue to that here. Missing field or method body. Well, actually, the easier way to do that is to pull up this definition. Just put that on the side here for easy reference. All right. Func. D star document. Next. Row. Driver.row. Error. Now, as I've done on the other cases, I need this to, well, I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm gonna just do the minimum necessary. It's not gonna be complete, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I need to include the ID in here also, don't I? It's called doc. Yeah, doc. Okay. And row dot attachments. Dot attachments. And then return no. All right. Of course, we're still missing some methods. Let me close this now. Now we're missing method body. Is that? Probably should have left that open. All right. So edit next. We need close. I'm not implementing it yet. I'm just making it satisfy the interface. Get it to compile, right? Now this update sequence, I know I never need to implement for this particular one, so I'm going to kind of drop it below an imaginary line here. Same for offset and total rows. Basically, these fields are only used on certain types of queries that this doesn't satisfy or isn't used for. Well, I think that should satisfy it now. What does it think is wrong? Oh, wrong type for offset. Offset should be an int64. I think it should satisfy the interface. Yes, it should satisfy the interface now. I'm going to go deal with all that later. For now, I think I can close this. So now what I'm concerned about is that this will iterate forever, infinitely, returning the same document over and over again. So I'm going to change that. I think the easiest way to do that, I don't remember exactly how I did it on the previous examples. I could go check, but I think I'll use a closed. Oh, I would do this. I do remember now. I was going to use this, but this was recently added in a new version of Go, and I need to support back to Go version 1.17, so I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to just do an int32 and add a little go.comment. comment. Close will be non-zero. Let's see if the is closed. Document. All right, so now if atomic.load int32 closed greater than 0, then return io.eof. So the advantage to doing this, the reason I'm doing this, rather than using a Boolean, is because I need it to be atomic. I could use a Boolean, But then I would need to use a mutex to protect this to make sure it's not written and read concurrently, or written to concurrently by two different Go routines. And that's slow and cumbersome and so on. So this is the lightest weight way I know of in old versions of Go to create an atomic flag. Now, obviously, in Int32, I could count the number of iterations. I don't care about that. I just want 0 or non-zero is all I care about. And the reason for Int32 is because that's what the old versions of Go support. New versions of Go support atomic booleans, but I think that's in Go version 1.19 or so. I could check. But until I can drop support for old versions of Go, I need a backward compatible way, and that's what I'm doing here. So if the user calls next and it loads this closed flag and it's greater than 0, then I return an io.eof. Otherwise, I iterate. And then, of course, I need to set that. And actually, this isn't quite right. There's a race condition here already. And I wonder if I solved this on the other ones. Yeah, the way I need to do this is there's a race condition because if I have two people call next simultaneously, they would both discover that it's set to 0. They would both start to set this stuff, and then they would both race trying to set the closed flag. So I need to not do it that way. I need to use the store. I need the one that returns the old value, and I don't remember. Oh, add. Add is what I need. So let's change this to add 32. Now it's atomic. Let's look at the Go doc to make sure that makes sense. Add int32 automatically, atomically adds delta to the pointer to ADDR and returns the new value. I don't want the new value though. I want the old value. Maybe I need compare and swap. Let me think. Well, I mean, I could make do with the add. I just need to change this from checking for 0 to checking for 1. So the first time it's called, I'm going to look at the Go doc here. I feel like there was a way to do this. Well, I'm remembering a different way that it's happening. Maybe my memory is wrong, or maybe there's another method I'm not thinking of, or function I'm not thinking of. I think this compare and swap is all new, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. See, the Boolean type that is what I really want was added recently. It was added in 1.19. I can't use that one yet. Oh, swap. That's what I want. That's what I was thinking of. I want swap int32. Yeah, that's the one I want. Okay. Swap int32. And let's look at the docs for that one. Swap int32 atomically stores new into the address and returns the previous value. Yeah, okay, perfect. That's exactly what I want. So by default, the 0 value for this field is 0, as you would expect. And I never change it back to 0. I just change it from 0 to 1. And I do that here. So I swap the current value to 1, and then I check the current value. If the current value is 0, then I continue. If it's not 0, that's what this says, not equals 0, then I return io.eof, which indicates that the iterator has already been consumed. Good. Now I need to do the same thing with close. Here I don't need to actually set anything. I do need to set for it, but I can unconditionally. I don't have a unclosed case because I'm closing it unconditionally. So I do atomic dot store int32 dot close 1. I just unconditionally set it to 1, and then I return nil because there's never an error, at least right now. I think we're done with that part. Now I need to go and update some tests, I think, to support this. So let's have a look at that. Yeah, get test. We just tried to call doc.body. I don't know why I wrote my test this way, because that's really strange. Anyway, this shouldn't be called doc anymore. It should be called rows, because it theoretically supports more than one. And yeah, I don't want a body. What I want is so I'm trying to compare the body with some JSON. So I need to read the body, but I can't read it directly. So I'm going to do this: our body JSON.raw message, and then error equals rows dot scan dot pointer to body equal nil dot fatal error. Now I think I can just pass this body here. Okay, this isn't doing what I expected. Oh, I see what's happening here. Let me undo what I just did. I'll explain. So I was thinking that this was calling the public-facing get method, but it's not. It's directly calling this get method, which is fine. That's actually a reasonable thing to do for this test. But it means that I don't have the same API and the same user-friendly API I was thinking of. So rather than calling doc.body, let's still rename this to rows. It's now you can do this. Var row driver dot no, let's do row colon equals new driver dot row, and then call rows dot next row. Then this row dot stop. I don't think I need this cleanup anymore. I don't need that anymore. Those other attachments is row dot attachments. I think I did. Oh no, I still have. The test is going to fail because it's comparing against a different struct type. But if I change this to row, I think it'll work. I'll need to update the expectations here. Row, row, row. Some of these are pretty simple. If it's just a single field, and they possibly are still valid. I have to copy and paste here instead of retyping everything. Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of these. 22, 21, 2019, 18. Search and replace might have been the way to go. More than halfway done now. So far, they're only setting the rev field, which is fine. Makes these tests easy to update. All right, let's see if the tests work now. They pass. It's a little bit surprising. Kind of expecting a failure. A little bit dangerous. It could mean that they're passing when they shouldn't be. Let me go ahead and make a commit here. I'm going to push this up to GitHub so that the full test suite can be running in the background while I continue to investigate whether or not I actually did the right thing. Let's get this pull request created. All right. While that is happening, I am going to try to verify that these tests are working by breaking the code and see if the test breaks. So let's see. Let me just comment this out. Everything was setting the rev, was checking the rev. If I don't set the rev, do things break? They do. They do break. In surprising ways sometimes. Like, where does this with attach come from? Deleted. I don't understand all of that. That's weird. It's really weird. Okay, I recognize some of these screens. I have a feeling I know what's going on. Yeah, I've solved a bug similar to this before, I think. Basically what's happening is that when we call, let me show you the method here. The way this is an iterator, the way it works, find the right type here. File. Okay, so this is the interface right here. The way the iterator works is when we call next, we pass it in a driver.row value that the next function is intended to update. What's happening is and that the reason for that is we don't have to allocate a new row for every iteration. We can reuse the same memory and reduce allocations and speed up the code. The problem is I'm not resetting that value on every call to next. So if it already has a value in it, the iterator is only updating the new fields, which is wrong because you can end up with this weird situation where we have, when we don't set rev, the old rev is still there, and that's what we're seeing here. So I found a bug. That's nice. I need to fix that. But the good news is that means these particular tests are valid. I just found a new bug at the same time. So let me uncomment that and come up with a test to validate that this is working correctly. Now, in this particular case, it's working fine because it resets every field. No, actually, it doesn't. There's fields it doesn't set. So that makes it easy. I can test that. Let me do that. Let me create a test. So it doesn't belong here. It belongs in the high-level package here because it's a bug. It's not a bug in the FSDB driver. It's a bug in Kivik itself. Really, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this right. I'm going to file an issue about this because it's unrelated to this particular problem, but I don't want to forget about it. I'm going to make a new issue. All right. We may get to that today. But now at least I'm confident that the change I made to FSDB is fine. I just uncovered an existing bug at the same time. While this test suite's running, let's do the same change to the memory database driver. It should be pretty straightforward. So we change this once again from driver.document to driver.rows. Then this will fail. We'll change this to document. So I do that and copy the definition again. Ugh. Now in this case, I don't think I support attachments yet, so I'm just going to delete that one. It's never used. It will be eventually, but I'll add it then, right? Yagni. You ain't gonna need it. I'll add it when I need it. So all I have right now is rev and body. I will need ID. Add that first. And then now let's add the missing methods. Document next. Row. Mirror. Come back and fill in details. What was it? Sequence check ID, I think. I don't remember how it was spelled. Let me find out. Update sequence. That's what it's called. Okay, that's set. All right, we should satisfy the interface, I think. Oh, this is duplicate. I already have something called document. So let me rename this to, it doesn't really matter. Call it single document. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing we did a moment ago. Row.id equals c.id, row.rev equals c.rev, row.doc equals .body. And then we're going to add our little close thing. Right, I think we're good to go there. Let's see what tests are broken. All right, so I'm turning this to rows as we did in the last one. And then we're going to do, this is simpler now. Well, okay, I need to do var row. Nope, I'm going to do row colon equals new driver.row. And then if error equals rows.next row, error does not equal to nil and fatal. Now I have row dot. What's left? Well, this is a different test. We need to do the same thing here. So a couple more failures. Essentially the same exact pattern in another place. What's left? one more. Okay. Is that it? Do the test pass now. Do not. All right. So somewhere I'm comparing the old data type to the new one, and that's failing. So let's see where that is. Test get specific rev. Right here. So yeah, I'm comparing. So this doc type needs to be updated. I don't actually like that check. It's far too specific. It's tightly coupled, but I think the easiest thing right now is to just refactor the test, or to just update the test to the new type, rather than refactor it all at the moment. So I'm going to switch to this, and then I think I can just do copy and paste. Realistically, the test is like I said, too tightly coupled. It's testing an implementation detail rather than a behavior, and I don't like that. So I need to update that, but I will at some point, but not right now. Now this one is, okay, this is failing because I need to put the ID in there, which is 2. I'm going to test just a single one at a time. Make it a little bit easier. And then it's this body. Test that too. Okay, so I wanted, well, so this place here we're setting row.doc, that's not actually, let me think here. Test unexpected. No, it's the doc one here that I'm concerned about. A lot of things. This is some old code. There's a lot of things here I don't like about it, but mostly they're unrelated to. So this here, this is what's. Well, I'm comparing it to rows. I should compare it to row, maybe? No. So the problem here is that we're comparing a concrete type, test.doc, which is of type single document, to rows, which is an interface type, which we happen to know is of the same type underlying, but it's not it's not the right comparison. So maybe I do want to change, refactor this test somehow. Let me see what it's testing here. It's comparing test.doc with this. I don't think that's useful. Because here let me see what test expected is. That's an interface. That's testing. Looks like a little more substantial test. Let's see what it's testing there. The result is what? Okay, that's the document. I think that's a better test. I'm going to just delete this doc thing. I think it's redundant and tightly coupled. So I'm going to delete this, and that's going to make a bunch of these things fail. I just have to go and delete those as well. I guess it's not needed. Not sure about that. How the tests are passing. I think I'm happy with that. Right, let me look at the CI. Okay, a couple tests failed. I have some flaky tests I haven't been able to debug yet. I think that's what's going on here, but let's just verify. Yeah, so this is one. The Docker container looks like it was having connection problems. So if I rerun that, it'll probably be fine. And same here. I'll rerun both of those. It should be fine. Actually, I shouldn't rerun those. I'm gonna push an update that's gonna make those obsolete anyway. All right, now I think there's one still to be done, which is going to be tricky. That's the PouchDB one. I'll let this run in the background, test suite. And then I'm going to work on the PouchDB. The PouchDB one is difficult because it's hidden behind build flags, which my IDE doesn't like, or VS Code doesn't like. So it's actually quite difficult to. I don't have the same feedback from my IDE that I am accustomed to, but we'll make it happen anyway. All right. Oh, maybe I already did this one. Looks like I have. I must have done this one during the week, so that makes it easier. Let me just check that. When did I do that? On the 18th. Yeah, all right. So that was already done. So super. What that means is that once these tests pass, I can merge this. Meanwhile, I can work on deleting the old interface. Hopefully it'll be a clean deletion now. Old getter, where are you? You're going away. Here's the old getter. All right, that guy's gone. What failed here? Where it checks for old getter is where it failed. Awesome. I can just delete that. Don't care about that use case anymore. Now, there's also a few places that still reference this in the docs, so let me. Well, actually, I'm going to update that later because the rows getter is going away as well. It's going to be integrated into the DB, so I'll make the Godot change all at the same time. Which will happen right now. Rows getter away. All right. Now something's going to be broken here. A whole bunch of things are broken here because interfaces don't match up anymore, but we can fix that. Shouldn't be too hard. So let me go to the DB here. And that. DB again. Only 18 failures remaining. All right, I'm going to update a bunch of test cases. That one's easy because it's an error. So now I have the problem that I need this test to return something that implements the driver.rows method or interface. Do I already have a mock version of that? I don't think so, but I might. Oh, this is duplicated. Let me just delete that one. Find the other one, which will be broken as well. No, it's already updated. Okay, cool. So I'm looking for rows. Do I have a mock implementation of that? Yes, I do, right here. All right, so let's use that. Where was the failure I'm looking for? Here. Mock.rows. This is a little bit obnoxious because now I have to implement that iterator, a minimal version of the iterator thing here, but I can do it. All right, the function is called nextFunc, of course, nextFunc, and it takes a row, driver.row, and returns an error. So we need to, how is this called? What I need to validate is whether it actually iterates. Does it call in loop? I don't think it does. It doesn't, but it also does something stupid. No, it calls scandoc. Okay, it's doing exactly the right thing. Okay, so I don't need to worry about actually implementing iterator capabilities. I can just have it return this. So I can do row.rev equals 1-expect row.doc equals, let's just copy this thing. And that should be good. And then return nil. Is it doc or is it actually body here? Oops. Why is it complaining? Oh, here's a comment. All right, I think that will solve that one. Let's keep going. Rows. Here, return off rows, and I can just once again return the same sort of thing. Next func row row error. Doc equals this one. Attachment. Oops. What is that? Oh, I see. Just confused it. No, that's what I'm missing. All right. DB. What's next? These ones that return an error are nice because I don't have to bother with constructing the correct return type for the iterator. This one I have to do it for. Okay. Here we go again. Return off.rows nil. Next func row driver.row error. Return. Nope, return nil is fine. And then I want row.rev equals and row.body equals copy this thing again. It's not body, it's doc. 9 to go. Getting there. This is a nice one again. Now this one has a actual thing to do. Alright, we're getting super close here. DB. Actually, this one doesn't need to be anything. I already know it's a DB. Get rid of the switch statement entirely, and this panic goes away. And this just becomes db dot driver db. Right? What's left? Not sure what this is testing for. It doesn't look like the contents matter, so you just do mock.db. Maybe it'll crash. Not db, rows. Maybe it'll crash and we'll have to update it, but we'll start the simple way. And this one can go away. Alright. What's this? I don't care about that. Let's see how the tests go. How many things are going to crash now? Just network error so far. That's actually surprisingly less than I expected. I've noticed this particular failure. I need to update these tests to be more robust, but on my system, they fail with a different error message as they do on my old system, apparently. It has to do with IPv6 configuration, I think. So I need to make that work for both, but the TLDR is that these tests aren't actually failing, but just the error message doesn't quite match. I'm actually surprised. Well, let's commit these changes here. I don't think this should do anything. Nope. All right. What did I do? I merge new getter interface into .db. Before I push that, let's check the status of the tests that I pushed previously. Make sure I didn't break anything catastrophically. I see it failed, but it could just be those flaky tests. It looks like they probably are, but let's just validate. Open up the form that failed. Let's see what actually happened. Yeah, that's that flaky test. Sometimes it, yeah, I think it's a race condition. I need to debug it further. I spent a couple hours on it during the week. Same one here. Slightly different output, but the same error. And there's the network stuff we saw again. Connection refused to the Docker container is failing in the tests. And same thing here. One thing I hate about depending on Docker in tests is I have problems like this all the time, and I don't know of any way to solve it. I'm even using a private runner here, but it still happens all the time. Anyway, let's push this up. I think that this last commit is all I need to do to finish this particular issue. But let's see if anything happens here. Anything unexpected. It'll take a moment for that to run. While we're waiting for that to run, I'm going to have a look at the open issues. I guess the next step would be to fix the zero bug that we found. So that would be the next thing to work on. Maybe I'll start on that in a separate branch while those tests are running. Shouldn't really be conflict related, I don't think. Zero iterators, why not? I'm not exactly sure what the code is that calls that. I'll have to find out here. Basically, whatever it calls next. So it's going to be this one, I think. Yes, this is the place where we call next. So I need to zero out that line. I'm not sure the best way to zero out an existing struct. Let me see if Google can tell me. If not, we'll try ChatGPT. Reset fields. No, this is not what I want. Golang. How do I reset all struct fields? Yeah, I don't want to use reflection. I probably have to do this manually, which isn't that difficult because there aren't that many values here. Okay, so basically I need to do this. Row equals this. And then pass row in. And in the middle, I can reset those values to their zero values. I do have to wonder if this is actually saving any memory allocation if I do this, though. In some cases, it can. Like for these slices, those can be truncated. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is how valuable this actually is. Another option I have is to tell to make it part of the API contract that the implementations must set all fields, and if there's any that they want to set. But that I don't like that, because if I add a field to driver.row, for example, I can't expect all implementations to necessarily know that the new field exists and start setting it. So I can't rely on that. So here's the naive approach, and I might have to update this. Trying to remember the best way to truncate a slice. Line, how to truncate slice. Yeah. I think I can do that. Row.value equals nil. Row.doc equals nil. Row.attachments. Is this an interface? It is, so I can do that to be nil. And then row.error equals nil. So this should solve the bug, but I'm concerned that it might implement a whole bunch of, or might add a bunch of memory copying I don't care about. But you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to write a test for this. Let me comment this out. Let's get a test in place. And then we'll go from there. So I need an iterator. Let's see how I instantiated those before. I think new rows will do it for me, right? Yeah. Let me just copy something like this. Just going to set one field there. I don't really care which one it is. I'm going to say row equals row, which I'm going to call this changed, just to be a little more explicit. No, that's not what I want. I want to do nothing, is what I want. Then I want to call rows.next row. Yeah. All right, so that's not quite what I want. The problem is that this test is happening at the wrong layer of abstraction. This is going through the public-facing API, but I need to just, I don't need that much complexity for this test. Well, no, I do need that. I do need that because that's where the fix is going to happen. Okay, so that is what I need to do. So I need to figure out a way to make this test do that. So what I'll do is, I want to make this iterator return one value that sets the ID and the next one that doesn't set the ID, and see if the second one has the ID zeroed out or not. That's what I want to do. How will I do that? I think I'll do it like this. I just need a Boolean flag. So var bool false equals false. No, I don't want to call it var bool. Var is first. It's false. If is first, then return. No, then r.id equals first. Return nil. Otherwise, we just return io.eof. We don't set anything at all. Oh, we need to set is first. Let's do it like this. IDX. There. Now, for rows.next, dot IDs. Want IDs will be first followed by blank. Dot IDs. What is it complaining about? Oh, that could be an error, of course. Okay, now we compare want with got. Now this test should fail. I expect I will get first. Well, let's see. I could just run the specific test I care about. Unless there's an infinite loop, which might be happening. Looks like it is. And not sure why. Alright, what kind of logic error do I have here? Let's see if this is being called. Oh, obviously I need to put that there. Okay, simple enough. Alright, so I did not get what I expected. Oh, I okay, I know what needs to happen. Let's do IDX++ here. Case 1. Actually, here, I'm going to simplify this. If IDX is less than 2, then r.id equals strconst.i2a IDX. Return nil. Otherwise, we'll return io.eof. What? Go away. What is going on here? Stop it. Close anyway. Go away. Reload this darn thing. There. I think this should work. it should set ID on the first iteration, not set it on the second one, and then return io.yof. And now my want is 1 blank, and I expect to get 1 1. Great. It's broken exactly the way I expected it to be. Now if I uncomment this, it should fix it. And it does. Awesome. Now I may have the same sort of bug with the attachment iterator. Where I don't remember where that's defined. Probably here. Yes, right here. Yep, I see the exact same problem. So let me add a test for that. I'll probably just copy the test I created and adapt it. I don't have the same sort of convenience function called new rows here that I do, or like new attachments or whatever. But I think I can use something like this. Actually, I'm not sure if this is the right. I'm trying to think how I want to handle this. I'm not sure if this attachments iterator thing is actually supposed to be used publicly. I guess it is. It's a different interface though, isn't it? Not sure why that is. Why I chose a different interface for that. But it's different, so let's do this. Here's this dot file the names you want file names. I'll do the same convention I did before with the index thing. So what I want here is switch x plus plus x case 1 entity dot file name equals history of the column to a idx return nil, case 2 return nil, and all other cases return .uf. Alright, I think that should work. Let's see if the test fails as expected. It's not failing. Why is it not failing? I wonder if I have some magic in here that already solves this problem. No, doesn't look like it. Oh, I do. And that is that I'm instantiating a new instance of it here. And honestly, that probably makes more sense in the other case too. Okay, I see why I'm doing that here, and that's because I'm returning a distinct value rather than updating one. It does make sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but I understand why I'm doing that. Why I'm creating a new one. Anyway, I have a test now that proves that it works, so I'll leave that test in place. There's at least one other iterator. I think it's two others actually that I should check for. Changes one. Yep, here's the exact same bug as before. So let's try updating this one. Close the rest of these things. I don't care about it anymore. I'm going to copy this test again into the changes test file. So I need to, I think I need to copy this. The truth is, most of this isn't really, it's not boilerplate. It's mostly, like the boilerplate is like 4 lines of this whole thing. Anyway, b equals this thing. And this is the part I need to change. I don't care about this. I don't care about this or this. I'll need to fill this in, which I'll just put a note there for now. I'll get to it. And then changes cv.changes context background. That should do it. And then the changes are what I'm going to be iterating over, not rows. Why is that not happy? Oh, what? No, I'm confused. I think I know why. I think it's because there's no error in this case, which means I can simplify this a little bit. All right, now I need to fill in this logic. Lock changes. What functions is the next function? Of course. Next func change. I think this is what it's going to be. Error. And same as before, idx plus plus, switch, idx case 1, change.id equals strcon dot a to, no, I to a, idx, return nil, case 2, return nil, and in all other cases, return io.go out. Let's see what we have here. All right, exactly as expected. Now let's see how many fields here we have to reset. Change.id equals blah, change.sec equals blah, change.deleted equals bool equals false, rather. change.changes. Now what is this? It's a slice, okay. Equals changes colon 0. And then change dot doc equals change dot doc 0. I think that should work. And it does. Yeah, I think there's one more. This is it right here. And it has the same bug, I think. Fewer things on here, and I think these are all unconditionally set all the time. You know, I really have to wonder if I should just be instantiating a new one of these every time. No, I probably shouldn't. Even though these strings are fairly short, so even though creating them every time is annoying, it's necessary because they're strings. The place where the memory is going to be consumed, actually for this one, I'm just going to redo it every time. That's going to be an easy thing to do. Well, no, I can't because it's being called here. So where is this called from? Nothing here. Okay, so my API doesn't even allow that, so I have to reset it manually. That's fine. I'll do it. But my mind is bouncing around. The expensive parts of these structs are the large JSON documents, and those I'm able to truncate to just 0 without doing allocation. So that's actually beneficial. So that's still useful. For these very string bits, it's not as important. But all right, so let me create a test for this one. I don't remember what that update thing is called. All right, part of client, not part of DB. I don't need DB at all. I need client is all I need here. Client colon equals bleh. And then I want, what's the field name? Driver client. Driver client. DB update. There we go. Update func. Second, let me close and delete this nonsense. All right. Updates func. All right. What's the field? The Oh, that's interesting. Completely different API. I guess that's why this has this funky little wrapper to make it match the standard one. I don't know why I chose to do that. It seems silly. It's very silly. What? Why am I? Why is this happening? I'm so confused. Do you get confused when you read your own code from 3 years later or 3 years ago? Too? Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. Okay. Okay. So this needs to return the thing that returns the iterator. This isn't returning the iterator. Or this is the iterator that's returning. Okay. Return mock.db updates. There. That's the iterator. That's why I was confused. I thought that this was the iterator function, but it's not. But I'm returning the iterator function. Now we have next func, and then we have update driver.db update. There. Okay, I'm back on track again. Turn io.uf, and same as before. Switch first the x++, switch ibx case 1, update dot, let's do db name equals trconv i2a ibx, return nil, case 2, return nil, otherwise returning either. Yeah, okay. This is going to be called want db names dot db names. And then this isn't changes, but this should be updates equals client db updates context.background. All right, I think we're going to need to change this to db name. All right, should fail now. And it does. And then, so here we're going to change this to update colon just blah, update dot db name equals blah, update dot sequence equals blah, update dot type equals blah. Why is it taking so long? Oh, okay. All right, that should fix it. I think that also all the iterators that I have, if I find another one later, I know how to do the change. Let's see how the CI is handled on, open that in a new tab, see how the CI was handled. It looks like something failed. If it was just a flaky test or something else. Yeah, just a flaky test. I really need to debug that. Yeah, this is so annoying. All right. This fixes number, what is it? There, 765. Pull request. I'll let that one run. We should be good to go here. All right, I think we're doing good here. I'm wondering, I don't know how many people are watching right now, but does anybody have questions related to this or anything else at all? Because I think I'm getting to the end of what I had planned for the day. And of course, we can end early. That's fine. But if anybody has some questions about Go, something you'd like to see me do, just let me know. Put it in the chat, and we can make it a Q&A for the last 20 minutes or so if people want to. Meanwhile, let me have a look at the open issues. There's the Flecky test that's annoying me. Oh, this one should be closed. I already solved that. Did I merge the last thing to solve it, though? I did not. This will merge it. So this is something I was working on earlier today. I think it's a Flecky test situation. It is. So let's rerun that. I can merge that as well. And close another issue. Getting super close to releasing version 4.0. Let me see what's left in. It's just these two. So this is the one we just are about to close, and this one I'm about to close. That's the one I just hit the re-trigger button on. Then I can release 4.0. I'll probably do that later this week. There's still a fair amount of refactoring I can do and some cleanup. If you joined me early on when I started this whole adventure of adding the new interface, you may recall a change I made that I mentioned I want to fix, and I haven't done it yet, but that's something I could be working on. I made this result set type just a very thin wrapper around another interface, and I can merge those together. And I want to, because I think it's just an unnecessary indirection going on right now. But that should not, in fact, impact the public API. So I can do this after releasing version 4.0, since it shouldn't impact the usage of the software at all. It just makes it internally a little bit cleaner and more consistent. And there's probably several other things like that I could work on as well that I'll try to get to over time. But I've been focusing on any public-facing API changes, trying to get those done soon so that I can release version 4. Looks like this is almost done running. Have you started? So I got a comment here that someone started reading Practical Go, Building Scalable Network and Non-Network Applications. I'm curious. Have you started reading it? What do you think of it? All right, I'm going to merge this one. This one looks like the test passed. And that should close. Well, it doesn't quite close it, but yeah, let's go ahead and merge that anyway. All right, one down, 2 outstanding pull requests to go. Actually, that should have closed that issue. So let me just go ahead and close that. This one should be closed now. Yeah, my question was if you had started reading the book, and if so, what you thought of it so far. I haven't read that book yet. All right, this one's ready to go also. Feels nice to merge all these things. How's this one coming along? Our linter failed. Okay, I need to fix that and see what's wrong there. Oh, it has imports in the wrong order. So let's fix that. Fix it first. Check out master. Now I'm going to rebase on top of master just to have it slightly more continuous code changes. I'll run the linter locally here and see what's failing. Oh yeah, I like using, so the comment is that I like using sort of raw Go rather than using a framework. And I like that too. I usually try to avoid frameworks for most things. There are some exceptions, but like for web apps, I really like the standard library is almost good enough that you don't need a framework. There's a few things, depending on what you're doing, where it's still a little bit annoying. That's being improved though. I think in Go 1.22, it should be done by then. They're adding HTTP verbs to the standard library's router. So you don't, I mean, as it is right now, if you want to use net HTTP for a web app, you have to do a lot of manual checking to see, is this a GET request or POST or PUT or whatever. That's going to be made much simpler in the newer version of Go, probably in February, which will mean that you no longer need a third-party router for just standard day-to-day web stuff. So that's a big improvement. There are a few other things that could be improved, and I hope will be improved over time. But yeah, in general, like I would say that the standard library gets you 90% of the way there for what you need for web apps. If you want to do something like gRPC or something, of course you need more than that. But yeah, I agree with you that it's nice to see, even if you end up using a framework, it's nice to know how to do it without one, just so you have a better sense of what's going on under the hood, even if you are using a framework. So basically, my IDE put these imports in the wrong order according to my linters. I'm going to fix that. I need to update my IDE or VS Code to just do it the correct way. It's not hard to do that. I just haven't gotten around to it. So one of these days I will. I'm creating two separate commits here because I want to squash these in the correct order. So I'm tagging that one changes, and this one I'll call updates. I'm going to use a tool called LazyGet to do that squashing. So I come down here, and I can move the changes down one and squash it into the one where I made the changes change and the updates change, and now we're good. I'll push that up with a force push and let those tests run again, and I think we'll be good to go this time. So now to close this one. Yeah, I think after this I can release version 4. There's a ton of features I'd like to add to the file system driver and the memory driver, and those might make for good content for this live stream in the future. So I may be doing that in the coming weeks. Some of those features are going to be fairly straightforward. Just adding basic capabilities. Well, let me do a quick preview of some of that. If I can find my checklist quickly. I saw one for FSDB or MemoryDB somewhere. Not here. What? One of these had a file called notes, I think. There, notes.txt. Oh, that's not what I had in mind. I had a big long checklist of things I needed to add. There's some files I should delete here. I don't think it's here either. No. Well, I'm not finding it right now, but maybe it was an issue. wonder if I had migrated all the issues. I don't know what that is. Oh, I'm certain I had seen a list somewhere of the to-dos. But anyway, even without that, I know there's some of them in the code. So let's just look at this, for example. If we pull up, let's do this one. No, not there. Here we go. So you can see a bunch of these functions are completely unimplemented. They just return this not yet implemented thing. So all docs and query and create doc. So I could just go through and start adding these capabilities to these backend drivers. So that might be something to work on in a future live stream. I'm also happy to do a code review. If somebody has oh, my linter's still failing. If someone has a code review they'd like me to do, I can review your code live if you're feeling brave. I thought I had solved this. Let me make sure that this isn't an outdated run. Still failing. Okay. See what's up here. Yeah, okay. So I had other failures that I just missed before. Let me run this linter once more here on my own, so I don't have to wait 10 minutes again to see if it's broken. It's good now. All right, let's try that again. The comment is, that's good to know because you're focusing more on web apps and Go. I like the way more without a framework because unless I don't understand how it works in the back, I won't be able to understand. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. If you have any questions as you're building a web app, let me know. This is a great place if you're able to make it to other live streams or send me an email. My website is boldlygo.tech. You can find my contact details there. I'm happy to help if I can. Right, should be able to merge this thing fairly soon. And I don't think I'm going to start on anything else because I only have a few minutes left. I wouldn't get very far. So I'll probably just end this live stream unless somebody has a question or another topic you'd like to hear me talk about for a little while. Because otherwise I'm just be breathing at you while I wait for this test to run and then hit merge. I just want to thank everybody who came, whether you're here live or you're watching the replay later on. Thanks for joining me. Hope you learned something. I hope to see you next week. Be sure to subscribe to the channel on YouTube or follow me on LinkedIn to be notified when I do this again. But generally, I do this every Monday around the same time for a couple hours. And I also have other content, of course, on my YouTube channel and a daily mailing list I mentioned at the beginning. If you'd like to get some information about Go every weekday, boldlygo.tech/daily, you can sign up there, and I'll send you some educational material about Go. So once again, thanks a lot, and I hope to see most of you here again in the future. Hope you have a great week.